And still starting, and here we go. All right, this is Anthony F. here, Mobile Tech Heat, along with Shane from Android Fanatics. We are trying the video thing again. Yeah, so this might work, 100% might not work. I don't even think I actually hear my earphones anymore. Awesome. So how's it going, Shane?
It's going great. Lots of nerdy news out there right now.
All right, that's good for us. Bad for the non-nerds. So how do you feel about Uber? I know we talked about Uber before. It's not really something that happens out there where you are, but how do you think about the concept of it?
Well, it's probably been 3 weeks ago, my mom mentioned Uber, and I couldn't believe that she knew what Uber was, but she was talking about how interesting of an idea it is, and so I told her about, that's how you used to, it's how people, I guess, still even today use in city areas. So, and the way I understand it, it's a little bit more like it's like a cab, but it's got a little bit more benefits, maybe, like you can haul more stuff, or so that's interesting to me because that in a big area like that, out here everybody has a pickup truck or they know someone with a pickup truck, so we can haul stuff. If you need something hauled, somebody can help you. But in a big city where everybody's driving compact cars to save fuel because they're doing, 2-hour, 3-hour drives to work.
Right.
I could see that really being helpful, especially like, you go down to Walmart and you want to pick up a couch. Well, you can't haul that back in your Prius, so you're gonna need something. And I have nothing against cars, Priuses or anything, but what I'm saying here is that I could see that really benefiting people who don't own a pickup or can't afford to drive a pickup, like that. There's times where I'm in town and I run to Walmart and it's like, okay, well, I can throw that in the back of the truck or whatever. But some people, even if they had a truck in the big city, they couldn't afford to drive it to Walmart for that special whatever. And this, I think, can save people time and money just by being able to have someone help them get stuff home that they normally wouldn't be able to. So.
Yeah, and it is disruptive in some sense, but really, it's something that happens all the time in the city because it's a necessity. As you were alluding to, I grew up in the city of Philadelphia, and sometimes as a kid, the whole family go and we go shopping, and then we come out the store and kind of find out we have a lot of bags. So there are guys out there that call hackmen, and you pay them like $5, put all your bags and stuff in their car, and they'll drive you to your house. Sometimes they'll help you bring the clothes, get the bags in the house for you. And it's $5. Hackman, he's happy. He's paying his gas, and we're happy because we got our food to the house. And now Uber, I guess they what's that word? They hipstered it. It's hipster cool to do that, and it's an app. And I guess it's more organized. But another good thing about Uber is that those in New York, in certain areas, I guess like Oakland, you can't catch a cab to certain parts of New York or Oakland, But Uber allows you to go into those places where, you might live, even though it might not be deemed a respectable, beautiful place. And that's cool, because cabs will drive right past you. Actually, I had a user tell me that he got in the cab when he was young. He said, "Take me to the Bronx." Cabbie said, "Oh, no, I don't go there. Get out." And he had to get out of the cab because they don't go there. But Uber will do that. Uber will go there, and that's cool. So that is disruptive in that sense.
Well, I think that's you bring up a good point. I think that needs to be Uber's slogan, "We'll go there." Because, like you said, there's some places most people won't, and that's, there's, I don't have much experience with that type of situation, but I can imagine, in Oklahoma where I live, and near Oklahoma City, they have some parts of Oklahoma City that aren't the greatest, and I guarantee the few cabs that are there wouldn't go there because these guys they're taking tourists to Bass Pro Shop and the Chubby Keith Bar and Grill. They would nowhere near go into those places that are that I don't want to say scary or dangerous, but just like you said, they're not thought of as great places to visit. So I can see that Uber may, like you said, disrupt cabbies' money, but really it's not Uber's fault that the cabbie won't take it there. It's the cabbie's fault, and respect to the guys that don't want to do, they don't want to put themselves in danger, but someone's going to have to do that job because it needs to be done, and I could see that Uber's going to take that, and I think that once this gets all kind of like more popular, I can guarantee it's going to outdo cabs because you can do it from your mobile phone. Right. Everybody wants to be, when I land at an airport, I want to hit my mobile phone and tell it to get me a rental car, and I want to be on my way. I don't want to have to, flag someone down and try to get one. It's so much easier. If like cabs, you have to flag them down, and like you said, you're lucky if you can even get one sometimes. If I can say on my phone, well, I want a car here. In 10 minutes, I'm at the coffee shop drinking a coffee, and I'll be done. When I get done drinking my coffee, I step outside. There's a car waiting for me. I don't have to flag it down. I don't have to work. That does a couple of things. I can spend more time drinking coffee before I go to work in the morning. And, like I said, when I'm ready to leave work or something, maybe it's in the middle of the night and I need a ride home. Well, a cabbie might not want to take me where I live if I live real far away, and Uber will do that. And I think that's great because transportation is probably one of the most important things that we do in our lives is go from place to place. And Uber's kind of taking the high road here with, and you say hipster, and I say more nerdify because I don't know too much about hipsters, but I don't think that I don't know that they were trying to be hipster. Maybe is what I'm saying. I think they were just trying to reinvent the wheel, maybe, and I think they've done a good job at it. And it sounds like, based on their earnings, that they're doing a good job, and people seem to like them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. According to TechMeme, sorry, we're going to cheat tonight. We're going to do all things with TechMeme.com, and Uber is looking to raise another $1 billion at a higher valuation than the $17 billion secured during the June round, per the Financial Times. So Uber is doing good, and can't be mad at that,
Yeah, I mean, if you're a cabbie right now, I'd be trying to figure out how you become an Uber guy because that's where you're going to be. I mean,
now, funny enough about that, so I cut you off. I'm reading a book on the $1 Million app, and it's written by a guy who's co-founder of Halo. So it's the British version of a app for the taxi guys, and apparently Uber is trying to get their fingers over in that area, and they're having some conflict over there because Uber is so disruptive, and their tactics, I say tactics, aren't very quaint and polite when it comes to getting funding and all. And the cab app Halo, I think it's called Halo, they're having some trouble with that. So that's just how disruptive Uber is. I'm going to keep saying disruptive through the whole show because it's such a cool word. I think it's still in. It's disruptive.
Yeah, and before we change topics here, I must say that, I'm not downing on cabbies. I mean, they're working just as hard as everybody else, and, they can only take so many people at a time, and they're only going to do fares that they want to do because there's so many people that need a ride that, they get to pick and choose. It's a specialized field. It's just like computer repair. I mean, I don't have to work on your computer, but I can sure charge you more if I wanted to because we're the only, in our area there's not that many, or the selection you have to choose from is 3 guys in their basement or me, the professional. So, a cabbie trying to get his app or whatever out there, I do feel for them because I can understand the hurt that might be causing to their business, and it's never good to see another business fail. But it also will bring about, it basically weeds out the weak ones and will bring in, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that maybe we'll see more cab companies come out and do a little bit better job of a unification and that type of thing. And it may hurt in the beginning, but I think in the end it's going to actually improve things for U.S. citizens and maybe citizens elsewhere that are trying to catch a cab or get a ride somewhere. I think it'll end up being a better thing because now everybody's going to step up their game to meet what Uber can do.
I agree. Competition is good, and it will break some of the old traditions that actually held everybody captive. Like buying the taxi medallions. They were actually buying these medallions and then saving them like they're going to be worth something for retirement. And now the prices is dropping and Uber is coming in. So, it's a good time to learn something new if you're a taxi driver. Now, in accordance with learning something new, everybody's jumping in with the wearables. If you watch Arrow, on the latest Arrow, there was a watchable on there, a wearable, where it actually saved the day because somehow there was Wi-Fi on the wearable, and Felicity was able to save the day with the wearable. So Asus, this ThinWatch, is to go on sale in the U.S. on November 9th at Best Buy for $199, says TechCrunch. How you feel about that?
Well, I've been looking at getting a wearable watch, and I continually ask myself, why do I need this product? Other than I'm a nerd and I should get it. Because I can't think of an actual scenario. But I keep hearing all about these wearables, and honestly, they've got my interest peaked. Right now, I'm looking at the Moto 360 just because I like the way it looks. Its performance is better now that it's got some updates, but I'm a particularly big Asus fan. I've owned pretty much about 4 different Asus computers, or computers that have Asus products into them. The case may not be Asus, but the core components are. So them developing a watch may actually work better for me in the end because I already own Asus products. I trust the company. What they create is amazing, and it's nothing shy of brilliant. All their laptops look amazing. So I don't know if I can see any pictures here or not, but I would imagine it's probably, it's a square model, but it looks really good, even the square. My question is functionality. Are we going to see long battery life? Because it's basically going to have to last a day and a half for someone like me. I can charge it at night and that's fine, but it's going to have to last, heavy use all through the day. And that's one of the things I think some of these watches are missing. And I'm not real familiar with this new Asus watch, but I'm hoping that its battery life will be outlast my phone's battery life. Which, rocking the Note 4, by the way, the battery life is ridiculous, especially if you don't use it very much. You can go all day without charging it. In fact, I'm at 68%, and I've charged it only for 15 minutes today.
Wow. That is pretty good.
And I've been listening to... I listened to 2 episodes of Leo Laporte today, so that's about 6 hours worth of audio playing through my phone. I think his podcasts are about 3 hours. They may be a little bit shorter than that. But irregardless, it's been playing pretty well all day, music, and I've been checking Google Plus and Twitter and, playing a couple of games on my phone. So as long as this watch will outlast my phone, I think it'll be good. The problem that I've seen is, especially when they first come out, because you've seen the Moto 360 when it came out, it was terrible reviews. I think the only one that come out and performed better than people were expecting was Pebble. And I think it's probably still the most popular smartwatch out there. So it's got quite a bit of competition, and it's going to have to weed through before it can be a power. And then, is it running Android Wear, or is it running Asus Wear, or something like that?
That is a good question. Not going too deep in it. It says Android Wear powered is in the watch.
Okay. So it is running Android Wear, which will help. The problem is, I probably wouldn't buy the Asus right off the bat because there's not going to be a whole lot of, there's lots of skins and stuff that you can get for these phones and lots of different stuff. I don't know how well all the apps are going to work with this phone as compared to something like the Pebble that's been out for quite a few months, and the Moto 360. And there was another watch that's been out for a couple of months now that's gotten some stuff. It's like an HP watch or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's another watch out there that's kind of big time right now. I just don't know because I don't think Asus has built any like Android devices that are super popular right now. I can't think of any that come to mind. I know they've built some pretty awesome stuff.
I mean, they have the pad phone, but I don't think that's in the States.
No, it's not, because I looked at getting it, and it's not in the States. Now, you might be able to, and I can't remember. I don't think at the time I was on Sprint, so I just kind of just quit looking. But if you have a SIM card, there's a chance it could work. Depending on a few things. But it's one of those deals. I think this watch will probably be one of those that's pretty big overseas, maybe. Where like their Asus phone is, because I imagine it'll work very well with all of their Asus Android devices. I would imagine. If you look at the Moto 360 and the Moto X when they're paired, they're like super great.
Right.
So I would imagine I want to see one and play with it. I played with Moto 360 and the Gear. That's what it was, the Samsung Gear.
Yes.
And those two are great. They've got lots of stuff on them now. You can get lots of different stuff. And so, Asus has got some pretty big competitors out there, but I hope they power through it all and get something really great accomplished, because the more we get out there, the more options we'll have, and options are always great because that just means I could pick something that will work for me.
Yeah. There's so much out there. It felt like Samsung has had the most successful wearable at first, the big heavy one, and then kind of like it felt like the Fitbit got popular. So then Samsung brought out a thinner, sideways kind of band phone, and then Android Wear came out, and then Samsung brought out an Android Wear phone. But I think the most disruptive wearables, I'm going to say that word, disruptive, each and every time, is going to probably be the Microsoft one because it's cross-platform, and the Moto 360 just because it just looks so good, in just shape. I don't know about the Apple iWatch because it keeps pushing it back. It's like vaporware. I thought I heard Kobe Bryant was wearing one night, but we won't see it until next year, I believe.
Yeah, and that was a bad idea on Apple. They should have released that this year when they did their big. I mean, when they talked about it, they should have released at the same time they released their iPhone, because I guarantee people that were buying the iPhone would have probably bought one, to go with theirs. Because when the first thing I do when I buy a new phone, because I'm an Android fan, I buy an SD card for it. So I buy an SD card, but then I look at all the accessories that I get, cases and stuff, and wearables is one of those now. That's an accessory for your phone, and I think a lot of people do that. They look at all the accessories and they thought, they say, well, you know what, I could use a watch, a smartwatch, or whatever. And I think Apple should have released that with their new phone, and I think you'd seen great sales. I mean, Apple people really like Apple products, so it would go without saying that, well, I mean, they didn't even know the specs, and people were already saying, well, I'm going to buy one. And it's, so they could have come out with a complete dud, and I mean, people would have still bought it. So,
and speaking of vaporware, you said you had listened to Leo Laporte, one of his podcasts about voice over LTE or Revolt.
Yeah, man, it's a cool idea, but I'm worried, and I mentioned this to you. I'm worried about my data. now that I'm an AT&T customer, I have to watch my data, which is not fun, by the way. Coming from an unlimited plan, it's sad. Used to I could just do whatever I wanted to on my phone and wouldn't have to matter about it. Now I kind of just have to watch it. I'm on the road quite a bit these days, so listening to music's a big deal. So I'm going to have to fill up my SD card with music to listen to because I can't stream music all the time, or that's going to really eat up my. So if I'm talking on the phone, which I do all the time, for customers, I use my Google Voice number to call customers just about. Well, I mean, I'll make 3 or 4 phone calls to them a day, and then I'll make 3 or 4 phone calls to my boss a day. So you're talking 6 phone calls a day that may last up to 15 minutes. So you're talking quite a bit of time on the phone. That's going to eat up an incredible amount of data because if you look at McDonald's, if you go to McDonald's and you try to make a VoIP call from your iPhone, it won't work. They blocked it because it eats up data fast.
Yeah, they blocked the ports.
Yeah, it slows the bandwidth way down. So I can't imagine this being that great of an idea in a society where we have limited data.
Yeah.
If it's all unlimited plans, no one will care.
Yeah, I really blame AT&T for their practices because I've had many users switch from AT&T and iPhone to an Android, and the 3 things they worry about and the imaginary worry about is battery life. What is it? Battery life, viruses, and data. They are just so used to being constrained in AT&T that when they go to Android, they're like, "Oh, what is this app? Oh, why is it using my data? Oh no! Oh, my battery's being used. What's going on? Oh, I have a virus." And none of that is really real. But because AT&T has them in that tight grip of a hold saying no unlimited data for you, it really doesn't help anybody. It makes things worse. And yeah, voice over LTE would definitely be sniffed. And when I say that, I mean the carriers are going to sniff the packets, the data coming through their system, and they're going to see this is happening. And I'm guaranteeing you they're going to charge you a premium price if you want to do that. And then some areas need to do that. Like say if you're in East Jablip and you don't get reception, but you do get data, it's necessary. But they're going to charge extra for that, I guarantee you.
Yeah, and it may be one of the because it's the carriers that are creating this network. So it may be one of those deals where they say like you said, because they'll know what data is used for what, and it's really scary. And Leo Laporte talked about this as well. When you're browsing the internet, and I'm sure all the carriers do it, but AT&T and Verizon for sure, they send out a little identifier that identifies you when you browse a website, and basically that's for advertising. But they know what you're Google or what you're searching. So they're gonna know if you're using your data to watch YouTube videos or make a phone call. And I would hope that if they force people to switch to Volt or Voice over LTE, that they would make like basically it's a little lane on their data plan that allows you to make as many voice calls as you want. Otherwise, that renders a cell phone useless. That's the whole point in a cell phone. That's why everybody doesn't have a landline anymore. There's no need. I can make any call to anywhere, either cheaply or for free. So hopefully they either make it to where your data is high enough that it doesn't matter, or they make it to where they're sniffing out and they can say, well, all this data was strictly for phone calls, so we're not going to charge you for that. Just the data that you just used for browsing and streaming and downloading and uploading. So hopefully something like that happens. Otherwise, they're going to have some very upset customers, and people aren't going to use voice over LTE.
Yeah, it's really sad because they're trying to find a replacement for SMS. They made so much money for charging SMS and text messaging, and now WhatsApp and everybody else is disrupting that because now you can send messages over data. They're trying to find a way to still make money, So now they're creating this new technology that they're going to have a gate on for us to use, and that's just crazy. So how do you feel about the Voodoo Spark?
I'm kind of interested to see. I don't know that I need yet another device to stream to, but to be honest, my Chromecast is still not working.
Really?
I can stream YouTube to Chromecast, but I cannot stream Netflix to Chromecast, so it's worthless.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I might as well just. I haven't been able to work and figure it out. I've done a little bit of Googling. Everybody keeps saying, oh, you got to reset it, or it's your browser, or your router, and I know it's not my router. I'm capable enough to know how my router acts, and I know that nothing has changed
Well,
on my router
I
since Chrome.
when I switched from uh, shoot, the 4G company I was using, Clear 4G, to Comcast, I was positive that Comcast was messing up the Chromecast. I think we talked about that. But
Well, it can, but see, I haven't changed any of my settings since the Chromecast messed up.
okay,
So all the settings are the same, and I keep a pretty close. I'm the only one that has access to the router,
hmm
and my wife wouldn't go in and change settings in the first place, and no one else that I have that has access to my Wi-Fi knows the password to get
right,
into the router itself. So I'm the only one that has access to it. So I know the settings haven't changed. It hasn't been reset.
right.
Um, so one day it was working fine, and then the next day it doesn't work at all. What it's doing now, and I've reset the Chromecast about 3 or 4 times because you got to reset it 3 times instead of just one. And so I've reset it a couple of times, and for some reason it'll accept YouTube videos,
hmm
and that's about the only two things I do on the Chromecast. But it will not stream Netflix. It tries and it errors out.
That's interesting because I can even on this laptop here use a Chromecast plugin, and I could cast what I watch on the laptop onto the Chromecast on TV. That is interesting.
And see, mine's not updating like it's supposed to either. Like it was stuck on 26% for like 2 or 3 days, and I don't think it ever did update.
Ah, okay.
And like I said, I've reset it and tried to update it, and it's something's not correct. And people online were trying to say, well, that's your router or this or that, and that doesn't seem to be the problem here because all the settings on my router haven't been changed since this messed up, and none of that should have mattered anyways. That's what I don't get. People immediately assume it's other stuff when, in fact, I think it's got to be something with Netflix or something with the Chromecast itself that's causing this problem.
Hmm.
Somebody's not playing nice with somebody else, and unfortunately, if that's the case, I'm either going to have to get rid of Chromecast entirely, or I'm just going to have to use it for just YouTube, which I would just have to get rid of it because I need something else that I can stream
Yeah.
Netflix to. So I was looking at the Roku.
Right.
They've got a little stick out for like $39, but this new and then Walmart's making this, isn't it? See if I can
Uh,
find the
yeah,
article yet.
yeah. Because they do have
Yes.
that Voodoo brand for their video, so they're getting into hardware now. Yeah.
Which is really weird. I wouldn't expect. I can't seem to find that article now. I must have.
Yeah. Well, just from the snippet here, it seems like it only does Voodoo, which is then you must have a Chromecast, or you must have an Apple TV. If it's only doing one platform, that's crazy. There isn't a universal device yet that has all of the multimedia companies together. Not yet.
Yeah, even Roku is. I
Oh,
think you can
well,
use.
Roku's pretty close.
Yeah, you can use iOS devices, but some functions aren't available on iOS, and I think some functions aren't available on Android. And that's not really anybody's fault, but the phone manufacturers because their platforms are so different. I can understand why they wouldn't be able to make every setting available um,
The
to both
only
devices.
the only HDMI stick I had that did everything, but Apple, of course, was an actual Android HDMI stick. With an Android-based platform, I was able to play Netflix, Google Play, Amazon.
And it was running Android, wasn't it?
It was running Android, so
Yeah, see, none of these. Chromecast doesn't run Android. Neither does Roku. I don't think Roku does. It might.
and yeah, Roku. Yeah, I don't
I
think so.
I don't know. I don't know if it runs Android, or if it's something
Yeah,
similar.
Roku probably is Linux.
And then that Matchsticks, which is the Firefox OS one, yeah, of course it's running Firefox OS. So I'm interested to see how that's going to handle. I can't imagine a web browser being able to handle that kind of graphics. But I guess if you're watching Netflix, it's through a web browser.
Yeah, and some companies have HTML5, like YouTube has HTML5, and I'm almost sure Netflix was testing that because is it Netflix or is it Hulu? One of those guys is stuck with Microsoft Silverlight, so
Oh,
not even people using Linux can watch. Wow, one of them, I think. I
I
was
think it
able
might be
to.
Netflix because
Yeah, yeah,
I remember it asking me to install the Silverlight plugin on my computer
yeah, yeah. So when Netflix,
or enable it or something.
yeah, when they go to the HTML5 platform 100%, then there will be no bars on them. They'll be unfettered, and that'd be great for all of us. So I really have to we have to sign off now. I started too late. I called everybody too late to do this. Apologies. Um, but Shane, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at fanatixinc.com. That's FANATIXINC.com. And you can just hit me up there. I've got a new subscribe button. No one's subscribed yet, but you can subscribe to the website. I won't bug you with weekly emails. It'll be like a once-a-month email, and it'll probably be pretty short and sweet because I'm terrible at sending emails.
That's good news. I will subscribe then. All right. Well,
Yeah, chances are it'll turn into like a 3 month before you actually receive an email, and by the time you receive it, it'll have already been an email or video form before that. So.
That's funny. So we want to thank everybody for watching. I didn't see any viewers, but this technology is not that accurate because sometimes you will get 4 views but 50 likes. How is that possible? So whoever's watching in stealth mode, thank you for watching. And this is Anthony F. here and Andrew for the next signing off, Mobile Tech Heat.